Hello and welcome to this week's Devil in the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Parkinson and I'm here talking all things Salford Red Devils. Joining the show this week, as ever, we've got Paul Whiteside. How's your week been, mate, after the misery of Magic?
Well, Monday was a bit of a miserable day, to be honest with you, mate. You know, when you lose a game, you feel a bit down, don't you? But I think when you get nailed, you feel even worse. I had a right sulk on at work on Monday, so it took me a bit to get over that one, mate. But no, I'm not doing too bad. Not looking forward to Saturday. I'm working Saturday, but I'll be hot footing it straight to the game from work. But yeah, I've had better weekends, to be honest with you.
Yeah, also joining us, we've got Paul Parkin. Despite defeat, Parkin, how was your weekend at Magic?
Listen, we haven't got long enough to go into it. It was disappointing, to say the least. The whole event and everything around it. The game, yeah, not great. But I had a good day out with my nephew. I took him, and hopefully he enjoyed his day. We went on the train, and we met a few of the lads, the old lads that we used to go to away games with. I'm trying to introduce him to that to get him into that pattern. Hopefully without all the booze, that'll they ruin me. But yeah, no, I mean overall, it's just been a bad time. I think a sad time for rugby league in that way. But yeah, look, I know we'll talk about the game. Hopefully not too much. But yeah, it's one of them, wasn't it? When it comes to a match and losing, we've been there before. So it's just on to next week, like Paul says. Now get crack on for Saturday.
Yeah, I had a good weekend apart from Magic. Played cricket on Saturday. My cousin's husband's 50th birthday. Organized. He's like Ramsbottom's second team captain. Well, he was 20 years ago. So I played a proper game of cricket first time in about 20 years with the pads and the helmets and everything like that. Really, really good. Bowled my brother-in-law out, which was a bit of off-spin. Got in his head on the way there, driving there. I know you're going to whack me all over this pitch. He was like, yeah. So I bowled the first two. Good line, good length. He blocked them both. And then I gave the third one a bit of air. I saw his eyes light up because he thought, this is the one. Came down the track. Came between him and the bat. They call it the gate, don't they? Went through the gate. And the wicketkeeper stumped him. Should have seen the look on his face. It felt like I'd won the World Cup. And I said, never ever living this down now, John. Yeah. So, glorious moment for me. And then went into bat as well. Got 6 runs. And one point, hit one, went for 2, got to the bowler's end, came halfway. The guy that was batting with said stop, and I was halfway. So I had to sort of turn round, try to get back, saw the ball coming in, Superman dive to get safe, did get safe, pulled my hamstring down. Yeah. So it was a bit like hobbled my way through the rest of the innings, but I had a good day. It was really good day.
It's just strange one with cricket. I love cricket. I'm a big fan of cricket. I've never had a chance to play it enough. Wasn't a thing at school and everything else. And unfortunately, the local club here, Weaston, folded years ago. And anyway, but you don't realise when you watch it on the telly, you think, well, they're only running from there to there. Yeah. When you've got pads and a bat and everything else, and you've got to run that distance in that speed, it's a lot of work. And I tell you, if you've not warmed up properly, you're in trouble. Yeah. But it's a great game, isn't it? I do love cricket, and I wouldn't have minded that. Although state of my body right now, I don't think it's the right idea. But sounds good. Sounds good. Keep you out of the gym for the weekend, though.
It did keep me out of the gym for the last couple of days. That's for sure, Parker. And then went to Magic with me limping leg. Met Ulis Gillard and Sleepy Williams from the Copperheads. Met Brilliant. Them, interviewed them. Parker, you've watched them, haven't you? A couple of times like myself. Yeah. 2 really good prospects for me.
Yeah, Sleepy, he's definitely not Sleeper.
No.
He's rapid. But yeah, they are really good. I've watched it, funnily enough, I'm watching some of the highlights today of the year, and there's some talent there. So it's good that they were there. Brilliant. I'm delighted with that. We'll have to catch up with that one.
Yeah, interviewed them both. Interviewed them separately, interviewed them together. So you'll listen to them interviews in the next couple of weeks in the pop-up podcasts. They were guests from the club who obviously invited them down, took them for the day and all that. And here's an exclusive for you. The club are planning to bring them over. Sleepy Williams, Ulis Gillard, and for a trial or the new year. which is exciting.
Brilliant.
Shows, Paul, that the pathway for the Copperheads and Florida Rugby League is working, because they're coming over for a trial to see how they go.
Yeah, definitely. Well, they wouldn't be coming over a trial if they were a pair of mugs, would they? So they must be half decent if they're coming for a trial. So yeah, and I've caught some of the highlights and whatever. So that's really exciting. And with a name like Sleepy, it's probably the coolest name in rugby league, that, isn't it? So yeah, can't wait to see him.
Yeah. So Raiden, Sweet, Ulyss Gillard, and Sleepy Williams trialing for the club in the new year. So keep your eyes on that. So we'll look back, obviously, the match of weekend defeat. Ladies beat Sheffield. We've got all the big news coming out of the club this week, and then we'll preview all the games that are coming up. So we'll start with the defeat at Magic Weekend. So for the Devils, were defeated at Magic Weekend against Lee. Went down to defeat 26 points to 6. Parker, thoughts?
It's hard to know where to begin. I thought, first of all, on our part, I thought we looked flat. I thought we looked tired. I was, I was worried during the week, and I kept saying to my brother, I just don't fancy us. I just couldn't. I thought Lee looked, when I've watched him in recent weeks, really quick up the middle, around the ruck, and I thought they were going to cause us problems, and they did. Ill discipline we haven't had this problem most of the year at all. It's not been a thing for us, I don't think. I think we've been really good. And then all of a sudden, it was just one thing after another. Whether they were, I haven't watched the game back. I haven't braved it yet. But whether they were or weren't, we've got to be doubly squeaky clean at this time of the year. And it just appeared that there was a couple of incidents that I looked at and thought we had no need to do that. We don't need to get involved. And then, fair play to Lee. They sort of capitalised when we went down to 12 and 11 men. Other than that, I don't think they had to do much. I don't think Lee were brilliant, and we certainly weren't. But we just looked flat. We looked tired. I don't know whether, it's been a long season, whether the fact that we just got such a small squad that it's hit us at the wrong time, running into the playoffs. But yeah, I thought the game wasn't great. And I thought the weekend was absolutely awful. I thought all the games, all the teams looked pretty tired. They all looked like they were drained. We're having a big showcase event at the back end of the season. I think it should be a little bit earlier in the year. The players didn't look fresh at all. A lot of injuries, a lot of players missing. It's not what we want. And Ellen Road is definitely not the venue for a big showcase event. Not at all. It's an old, decrepit ground in the middle of nowhere. It's not the place to highlight our sport. I think the RFL have done us a disjustice this week and really let rugby league down in what they did. I thought the promotion of it, I thought the lack of entertainment. I mean, I don't go for that, but there was nothing happening. The fan zone outside was a joke. I expected some guy just, on the waltzers or something like that coming up to me at one point. It was that bad. It was just a poorly arranged, scrambled together event, and the game itself, I think I've said enough. We just weren't good enough. Yeah,
disappointing result, Paul. Lack of cutting edge. Going down to 11 men didn't help. But yeah, it felt to me like we were treading water at this time of the season, which is not what you want when you're in the race for a top 6 spot.
No, you don't. You don't want to limp into the playoffs, because if you go back a couple of years, 2022, and we played Huddersfield in the playoffs, they'd limped into the playoffs and we smashed them 28-0. And we look like that side at the moment that's maybe just going to squeeze in there. And then if we do get in there, we're going to get absolutely battered, because we're not playing well at all. We're not scoring points. We've been nilled 3 times in a season, which is poor. I mean, you've only got to look at the league table. I think there's 4 teams who scored less than us. Huddersfield are one of them, who scored 1 point less than us, so it's more or less even. Then you've got Cass, London and Hull. All the rest of the sides have scored more points than we have. So he's scoring points and creating chances. That it's been a big thing all year, I think. I mean, I know you're going about Rowley ball and that, but I don't think we've played Rowley ball since 2022. We didn't play much of it last season, and this season, it's not really worked. There's something not quite right, is there? And I'm not sure what it is, but that's by the by. I mean, we didn't score a point in the game. I didn't think Lee were that good, but they didn't need to be. They just did the basics right. They did the basics right, ran hard, They got a good hooker in Edwin Apape, and they ran all over us. And I don't think it wasn't an absolute hammering, was it? It was a tight game until late on, but we just never ever looked like scoring apart from that one chance where Shane Wright and Tim Laffey sort of got over the line, but it wasn't a clean cut chance, really, was it? So couldn't really put my finger on it. I said to you at the start of the game, we come out, Mark's knee kicked on the third tackle, and it was a right wet kick, really, wasn't it? Straight to them, and we sort of handed the initiative to them and sort of said to them, yeah, come on, you come and have a go at us. And you can't do that against a team like Leigh.
Yeah, and I think with Rowley ball, you go wide, you go quick, and when teams figure that out, you can only sort of go down the middle, can't you, Parky? And we don't have the forwards for that, so we have to resort to kicking early and trying to pin people in. I do understand what Paul said; it wasn't particularly brilliant. I suppose the only thing that worries me, there's no plan B in that situation because we haven't got the players for a plan B. We've got plan A and plan 1.1A. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and I said it a few weeks running now that, you know, if you look after Mark's need, you take away our main attacking threat in that way. He's the one that gets us going. He's the one that gets us on the front foot when we can. He's the link in the line. We've not seen that from Ryan Braley really this season that much. He's not really chimed in as much as he did do. Obviously, because he had a great relationship with Brodie Croft last year, and that kind of helped. He's had to switch between Cust, Atkin, Nicarima now, even Mellor at certain point. You know, we've not had that settled partnership, but I think that's affected our attack. Even though we've got McDonald and Laffey, two of the biggest threats in the game, but they can't. Teams are wise. It doesn't take long for them to realise that as soon as it's going towards them, 2 or 3 men on them, cut them out, stop them dead. We've got nothing else going forward at the moment. The forwards look shattered. And again, it comes down to this that we've said all year, and we said it for the last few years. We're just not big enough up the middle. We've got, you know, lads who are great athletes, brilliant. You know, I'm not saying the small lads, but we don't have them block-busting props that can put you on your backside and turn a game in a moment, get you the quick play the ball, and off you go. We've got great hard-working players. Don't get me wrong, and this isn't, you know, I'm not turned into, oh, we were great 2 weeks ago, this week we're awful. I'm just trying to find a solution to why we haven't scored so many points this year. There's clearly, you know, there are various reasons, personnel being one of them, but we need some big forwards to make them meters, to get us into positions where we can attack, because far too often we're trying to play out of our own half, and we're kicking from our own 40. They're picking the ball 20, 30 metres out. They're over the halfway line in 2 tackles. We're on the back foot again. So it's just draining. And like you say, if you go down to 11 men, you're chasing shadows and you're doing yourself no favours for that last 10, 15 minutes of any game. So there's a lot of factors, but I think our attack this year has been fairly blunt.
Yeah, I agree with you there, but I think if you're going for bigger forwards, Paul, you'll lose the mobility around the middle of being able to get to places where we need to get to defensively and offensively. So my kind of worry is if we went bigger forwards, because we have brought in Joe Bullock. I mean, he is not a massive forward. He's probably he's one of our bigger forwards, but he's not, I wouldn't call him massive, Paul. I think that's probably the maximum size you can bring in and still play the system you want to play.
Yeah, but I know we were saying before about moving the ball wide and things like that. We did that in 2022. We moved the ball wide a lot early doors. We don't play that way anymore. We've not really done that for a while for me, and I'm not so sure. Well, I think a lot of it is the spine. I mean, I've spoke about this with Dad a few times, and we've said, you know, you take out, you lost Ackers and Croft and your 2 wingers. If you went to Wigan now, took French out, took an hooker out, took the 2 wingers out, that'd have a massive effect on their team. So you've had a lot taken out of your side there. It's been difficult to rebuild that, and we've done well to get in the top 6 with what we've got. So we have to try and play another way. But like Parky said, I think teams have worked us out. They know we don't rumble forward, so they know if they can drop a kick in there, they can pen us in there. And St Helens were doing it to us, and we couldn't get out of our own half in the first half against Saints because we were working too hard. And then come the end of the half, you shattered then, and they took everything away from you. So teams are clever. Teams know how to play you, don't they? And I don't know the point scoring thing. I'm not so sure. I mean, Nicarima, I didn't think really got involved enough for me on the weekend. We didn't have a lot of attacking chances, but I think with him, he needs that bit of confidence. He needs to set the line on a bit more, rather than going sideways and that. So I don't know what his plan is, but he's definitely a quality player. But whether he's just not quite settled in yet, I'm not too sure. But I think, like again, Parky said, I've been saying it all season. If you stop Max Need, you stop Salford. If you stop him ticking, he's the main man. Everything comes off him, and if you can stop him and put pressure on him, then Salford have had it.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation. Looking at the stats, Parker, completion, Lee completed at 96. We completed at 78. Meters made for Lee, 1,359. We made 1,151. Errors, 12 for us, 12 for them. Missed tackles, 23 for them, 46 for us, Parker.
Yeah, well, I think the completion rate's low, isn't it, for us? We're usually up in the 80s to 90s, so that's not great. Just want to say, when I go back to the thing about the bigger players, I don't mean a whole team of them. I mean, like when you watch Wigan, they've got really good, solid forwards, but they bring on like a Patrick Mago or Hull KR, bring on that Sue. Just somebody to change something from the bench. Our bench is full of basically back rowers generally. We don't have that grunt, and that stops us going forward when we need it. And it is, like you say, we don't seem to have that change of game plan. Well, we haven't. We just haven't got it because we can't change a game plan because we haven't got the personnel or the size to do it. So I don't want to get rid of the likes of Shane Wright and people like that. They're the actual sort of backbone of this team without a doubt, and great players. But I think we just need a couple of players to be able to come off the bench and just give us that. And that's down to recruitment and money, and we'll work on that. But yeah, stats wise, it looked quite even there. Besides the actual completion rates, I was surprised Lee made that many errors. I thought they were fairly faultless, but quite a lot of errors for both teams.
Yeah, Paul. Post contact meters 605 for Lee, 449 for us, and tackle bursts for Lee 46-23 for us.
There you go. That's your stat, isn't it? There. Just going back to another thing there, I was thinking of, and there's a few players in our team that I tend to think we get used out of position. I mean, Shane Wright's a big one for me. Shane Wright's a back rower, and we tend to use him as a battering ram, and he's not big enough for that game, is he? We've been using him like that for a while now at prop, and I think he struggles, like whether it's because we've got nobody else, but you think sometimes, where's Gil Dudson? Gil's not been playing. You got Adam Sidlow, you've got other people there in the team. I don't know. I think what we need to do next season is recruit a bit smarter, because you've had players there this season who've hardly played. You top Dixon, Sidlow, Harvey Wilson as well, who's come in, not played much. I know he's only a young lad, but I think Dixon and Sidlow were the two for me. If you're not going to play them, why have them? It's a waste of time having them in the squad. So, but yeah, you nailed it there with that stat. I mean, we're not making enough meters, are we?
No, I agree with you there, Paul. Shane Wright, I think he's too good to be just a battering ram. He's got too much about him, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's a clever back rower.
Yeah. So I just think it's wrong for him to. I suppose Paul Rowleys looking at his squad and thinking, I need to put him there. And if the ball comes to him and he can do a bit of magic, then it might make a difference in a game. But like you say, it's a squad game these days, and maybe it needs a bit more off season. A couple more come in. We can refresh the squad a bit. Makes it happen, Paul Parker.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the key, hasn't it? I mean, I'm a big fan of Shane Wright, massive fan, but we have got a sort of plethora of back rowers, haven't we? We do have a lot. Even Ollie Partington, who can play prop, is a back rower. Shorrocks, who's been playing at hooker, is a back rower. Wright, Stone, Watkins, even like Foster, who's not been in the team. People like that. We've got a hell of a lot. Dixon's another one, really. I know he played at prop for a bit this season and did okay, but he's a back rower. We need a little bit of grunt up front, definitely. And I think again on Sunday, the hooking role was highlighted to me. It didn't matter who went at number 9 for Lee. They ripped us apart around the ruck. They were too quick, too clever. And Joe Miller's done a fantastic job this year. I'm not knocking him, but he needs help. He needs to be the backup hooker. We need a hooker who's plays that role, who's got that craft to open a team up. Again, when things are going against you, someone nick them extra yards. I know Joe Miller's been doing it, but when he goes off, Joey Shorrocks, he's not a hooker. He's a loose forward, second rower probably. So yeah, it's down to recruitment now. And we had some great signings over the last few years. You know, obviously Bleasy was a big part of that. Whether whoever's moving into his role, I don't know who that is, can take that up. There will be recruitment. We know that. We will be stronger. We'll have to be, because we don't want what Paul Rowley doesn't want as well is, again, like last year, it gets to the back end of the season and we fall off because we haven't got enough players. And if we miss out on the playoffs this year, that's a big one for me, especially with IMG knocking around. And, you know, last year we just missed out at the end, the last couple of games. We just run out of bodies. We had nothing left. We can't afford that to happen again this year. And certainly moving forward, if we're going to progress as a club, that's something that's got to be fixed.
Yeah. Individual stats, Paul, meters, makers, Ryan Brierley, 122, Nenna McDonald, 137, Tim Laffey, 132, Dion Cross, 116, Oliver Partington, 78, Shane Wright, 65, Mark Sneed, 62, and the rest, 50 and below.
Yeah.
Score, thoughts of that?
Well, we didn't score a point, did we? So you could have made 300 metres and ran around the car park, couldn't you? But the biggest stats just the scoreboard, isn't it? And we didn't make. I don't think we spent enough time in their 25, to be honest with you. We didn't have enough play the balls in their 25 to win the game. We didn't have enough territory to win the game. I thought they busted us down the middle. Thought they did a good job on us. And I think you look at the last 2 times we played them, they battered us at their place. I think we scored a couple of tries or try late on, didn't we? But it was well beaten in that game. And then we were second best in every department on Sunday. So Adrian Lamb has certainly done his coaching trick on us. He knows how to play against us and knows how to get the better of us. So, we beat him convincingly at home, I thought. But the last 2 times we played them, they've just been the better side and ripped us apart. But that Apape, I mean, I think he said he's 24 or 25. He looks about 50, but he's a cracking player. I'd say he's the best hooker in the league. I think he's probably the best hooker in the league. He's just so quick, so strong, and playing. He has a lovely little link up with that Asiata as well. They play off each other really, really well, and they'll miss him next season at Asiata. So, but no, I thought they played well.
I watched a lot of 50-year-olds running around on Saturday afternoon. He doesn't run like a 50-year-old, I'll tell you that for nothing.
No, he looks like one.
Top tacklers, Brad Singleton, 33, Callum Watkins, 39, Oliver Partington, 43, Shane Wright, 35, Joe Shorrock, 33, Parker.
That's a lot of tackles. A lot of tackles for individuals to be doing. Ollie Partington again in the 40s. That's, doesn't surprise me. He does it every week, but too much tackling. But like Paul said there, I mean, how much ball did we get in there? They're 20. How often did we put them under pressure? Nowhere near enough. So you end up doing a lot of tackling. It's great they are doing the tackles, but then we need to look at the missed tackles to see how that works out. If we've got a player who's done 38 tackles, but he's missed 12, then it doesn't really work out, does it? But yeah, we just put ourselves under too much pressure by losing players at valuable times.
Yeah. Big thanks for your 3-word man of the matches. Anita, a wasted opportunity, Hankinson. Dom Hall, very poor again, Hankinson. Paul Whiteside's mate, Roy Ellaby, very poor performance, Hankinson. Stuart Smart, our bogey team, the Salford fans behind the goal, making loads of noise there. Paul, we heard him in the press box. Tremendous stuff.
Yeah, they always are. We say that every week, don't we? The support of Salford got terrific. And the away following is tremendous, and everyone gets behind them. There's no doubt about that. They make you proud, don't they? Hairs on the back of your neck stand up when you hear them. So, yeah, I thought they were tremendous and really got behind the team. Chris Hankinson getting a lot of votes for man of the match. He only came on, I think, in the 55th minute. So he only played 25 minutes. But he did well, and he never lets us down, Robin. To me, I'd find a place for him in the team because I think he's too good to not be in the team. And I think you look at it and he's on the bench. To me, he's only on the bench there because someone's carrying a knock. And I think it's Ryan Brierley who we know is carrying a bit of a knock, isn't it? Because otherwise you wouldn't have him on the bench. You'd probably go with 4 forwards. But I really like Hankinson. I thought that try-saving tackle he come up with, he's very, very solid. And he always sort of beats the first man coming out as well for me. He's a strong lad. So and he's very, very athletic as well. So I probably would have gone with him for man of the match because I didn't think anybody else got anywhere near. Yeah.
So big thanks to you 3 with man of the matches. Obviously, not a magic weekend for Paul Rowley's men. So it was a magic weekend for Mike Grady's ladies. Beat Sheffield 26 points to 6. Parker, hat-trick for Michelle Davis, 1 for Grace Ray, and 1 for Alex Simpson. Puts Salford third with 2 games to go.
Massive win, and convincing by the scoreline. That was like we said last week, that obviously Leeds seemed to be the premier team there, but if we're going to get anywhere, Sheffield were the next target. They've been second best all year, and well, I mean that's a convincing result, and it must be a massive confidence booster now for the playoffs. I don't think you'd want to face it. The way we've picked up in the back end of this season has been tremendous. A hat trick. That's always nice for someone to get, but she's been fantastic since she's come in. Michelle, she's a real talent. Hopefully we can hang on to her, and obviously Alex Simpson, who every week he's up there as player of the match. It doesn't matter. But yeah, great result. It gives us a bit of a lift, doesn't it, after a poor weekend for the men's team. And like I say, now they're challenging near the top of the league. Who knows what they can achieve in going into the playoffs? Yeah.
So Salford started well, sat on Sheffield's line for like 10 minutes, but then Sheffield scored first, came up, first attack, scooted over from dummy half, made it 6-0. We hit back though with a try from Michelle Davis. YPS burst the Sheffield line, offloaded to Davis, who dived between the flailing arms and legs to crash over to make it 6 apiece. Parky with 10 minutes go.
Yeah, we bounced back. I noticed that they scored. I was trying to watch the highlights, and I thought all this cheering going, and I thought, well, hang on, what kit are we playing in here? It looked like the wrong way. I looked at the scoreline. I thought, how did they score first? But yeah, we come back, and Michelle, like I say, she's a real talent, and yeah, there's that. We've seen it for most of the year with the girls. They've got that fight. They don't give up, and we've had games that have been really tough where we haven't enough players, or we've changed the squad every week. Just a great spirit in there, and you saw the way they celebrate when they score. It is a joy to see, to be honest.
Yeah. So the ladies got the game by the scruff of the neck. Then Emily Bagley and Lydia Egan made inroads into the Sheffield defence. Ball went wide. Grace Ray nearly went over in the corner. Ball came back against left-hand side, and Michelle Davis kind of dummied, went back to where the ball came from, went over in the corner to make it 10-6 Salford, and we had momentum then, Parker.
Yeah, it was clever play. We did it a couple of times, to be honest, from what I've seen of the highlights. We moved them about a little bit. Again, a bit like we were saying about the men's team, that we don't seem to have we can't get around them one way. We don't seem to get around them another. Whereas the girls, they know how to switch it. They'll try and take it on in the middle. If it's not working, we'll run you around the pitch and we'll drag you about. And this is it's a good Sheffield team, so it's not easy to do. But some of the tries we scored the other day were really eye catching.
Yeah, so we went into the second half, Paul, and obviously we're leading sort of 10-6 at half time, and suppose Mike Grady wanted that momentum. I spoke to him after the game, and he was convinced that they had enough to pull clear, and that's a good sign because he backs his players and the players deliver.
Yeah, certainly this time of year as well. You've got to trust your instincts, especially the coach, and you've got to trust your players. And he does do that, doesn't he? And they did pull away with that in the second half, and they probably signs there in the first half where they knew what they could do. And sometimes you can score too early in a game, can't you? Perhaps Sheffield did that, and Salford just took away from there.
Yeah. So second half, Parker, another strong run by Egan, who I thought was sensational. Offloaded it to Tina Milan, who burst the line, found Michelle Davis on the inside. She went under the post for a hat trick, and Salford led 16-6.
Supporting. That's where that if you're in that role, that's exactly where you should be. On the shoulder of players when they're making breaks. Yeah, I like what you said about Egan there. She's been really good this year. She's got better every week, I think. And again, like you said, she had a fantastic game this weekend. And I think it just shows that how the team are maturing as well together. They're all learning. It's easy to forget that some of these girls, again, probably in the first or second year of playing the game, not been playing it since they were 4 years old in a team or anything like that. So they're all learning together, and you can see how they improve in the individuals. Some of them we've known for a long time that they've got real talent, and then you get your teams stripped apart, and then you bring these girls in, and slowly but surely you can see this development. And Mike Grady's got to take a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, I thought the 5 front row was just sensational throughout. Emerald Hickey, Lydia Regan, Emily Bagley, Hannah Wicks, YPS just made momentum, burst tackles, got us on the front foot, Paul, and that's what you want. You want your forwards to go forward, and they delivered on Sunday.
Well, yeah, any team needs a back, don't they? To get the backs to play off that, and you need those forwards, and you need those forwards to replace them when they come off the bench as well, because you need to keep that momentum going, don't you, throughout the 80 minutes? And sounds just like they did that.
Yeah, so Emerald Hickey with a drive forward. She gave it to Sam Evans, who found Alex Simpson, who fended off 4 Sheffield players, went over in the corner, Paul, to make it 26. Obviously, we talk about Alex being a fantastic try scorer, and a moment in the game sends 4 Sheffield defenders off and goes over in the corner. What a score that was.
Yeah, certainly. Sounds it like I said, I haven't seen it, but, sometimes them sort of magic moments are what get you in the playoffs, aren't they, at the end of the season, and 3rd place in the table. Now this is where it starts to get exciting, doesn't it? But it sounds like a magical try.
Yeah, so the final score of the game, Parker. Hannah Wicks made a drive forward. Tazka Corrin took the offload. She found Davis, who burst the middle, and then she passed it to Grace Ray, who went over in the corner for Salford to make it 26 points to 6, and Salford were 3rd in the table with 2 games to go.
Yeah, I think that was probably the best try of the game. The way they moved the ball as well, and the individuals involved, but it all comes off the hard work that's gone on before that, because we opened them up, and I think they probably just had enough, put the key on the rack, and it's not our day. But like you said, Alex Simpson, she's a key to anything we're going to achieve as a team. I think she's a great player, and again, she's developed so much in the few years that she's been with us. And I'm delighted to see that she is getting a bit more credit now. But a great result, superb. And because we were a little bit worried when we going into it. The last few weeks, we had some real tough games against the top 3 or 4 in that league or whatever, the playoff rivals, and we've come through it fairly unscathed. Obviously, the Alton game was a bit tricky, but we're in there now, and it's time now for the girls to try to look forward and see what they can achieve.
Yeah, a bit concerned when obviously 6-0 down, Parky, but like you say, hat-trick from Michelle Davies, took the game by the scruff of the neck, and just everyone seems to sort of rise when she's on the ball and making things happen, and that's what you want. You want sort of, you're hoping that 2 or 3 people in that team, that when it really matters, can find something and take us to that next level.
Yeah, is she only here on loan, or is she actually our player? I'm not
she's
sure.
Our player. Yeah,
she's definitely our player, because I know she came in. Obviously, she's revelation. She looks to me like a Super League player. She really does. You can tell she's got that experience and that game management, and just knowing where to be at the right times when you watch her. And I think that's what we lacked earlier in the season, somebody like that to get the team going and just to bind it all together.
Yeah, she was Warrington's captain. Right. She's played for England as well.
Right,
so she has magic, doesn't she? You know what I mean? Yeah. So she was tremendous, I thought, on Sunday. And like you say,
it's like with anything, you can see class. You can, you know what I mean? You know when you see it, and she's definitely got that. She's the one that could take us to that next level.
Yeah. So wonderful win for Mike Grady's ladies, and they'll march on next week against Dewsbury Moor, who are 5th with I think 1 point behind, 2 points behind. So that's what a hell of a game that's going to be, Parker.
Yeah. Again, like I say, another tough one. It's been a real tough period. I don't remember the last time we played anyone that you could have a blowout against. Really, it's been a tough period. But I suppose that's what you want if you're going to go into the playoffs. You want to be game ready, and this is the right time of the season. We get another win. The confidence that we'll take from that, and knowing that we can beat these teams around us anyway. If you do get them in the playoffs, then fine, we'll take them on.
Yeah, so that's a look back at all the games this week, and now we'll look at all the big news coming out of the club. So we'll start with our development academy. Their enrolment for new players / students starts on the 23rd of August. Paul, Eccles College. Obviously, we talk about the community and wanting to build, strengthen it. Opportunity for people and kids in the community to, get into rugby league and get an education as well.
Yeah, it certainly is. We say the same thing every year, don't we? It's vital, isn't it? Education is to youngsters, and if you can play rugby league as well, it's great. So never had anything like that when I was a youngster growing up. You couldn't play rugby league and learn as well, but no, I'd encourage anybody to get involved with that and get on that pathway.
Yeah, and talk about pathways, Park. It's a stepping stone to the full academy, which we'll be seeing sort of next year. So that's another incentive if you are sort of a young player wanting to get into the game and get an education to try that route, maybe.
Well, that's exactly the point. Unfortunately, the last few years, even though we've had the development academy, there's nowhere to go. There's no progression for anyone in that way. They've had to wait until now till we can have the elite academy, which is what we've needed all along. I think this is now the platform that we need to push on as a club. Never mind anything else. And I think that's going to be key for us. And I think now, like you say, hopefully the word will get out around the amateur clubs and around the schools and everything, saying this is your chance. Get involved now, because 2 or 3 years time, elite academy, reserves, first team. This is the first step, and it shows that there is the pathway now. When we were talking before about the lads coming over from America, it's another door that's opened, and it just shows what the club are doing.
Yeah. Other news, Paul, Salford are making an appearance at the Pride March on Saturday. Obviously, we're talking about the community and getting everyone involved. Fantastic that the club will have a presence at such a big occasion.
We've got a game on Saturday as well, haven't we? So we'll have to worry up, get the skates on, because we've got tea time, don't we? So, but yeah, it's great to represent the club. I mean, rugby league's that sort of sport, isn't it? Where, and all sorts of sports should be the same, but all walks of life should be, but we know it's not. But where everyone's welcome in it and everybody gets involved in it. And I'm all for that, the more people we get to watch Salford, the better. So I'm sure everybody will enjoy that. My missus is going, she goes every year with the kids. They absolutely love it. So, get the free stuff that they get handed out and whatever. So I'll be minding the dog, no doubt, and then go. Well, no, I'm working Saturday, aren't I? So I'll be hot footed into the game after that. So I'll have to miss out.
Yeah, 40 mile an hour float, Parker, to get round full kickoff.
Well, yeah, I hope there was somebody there giving out tickets, trying to get people to come down to the game after it. That'd be quite good. I think say it every week, and we don't want to bang on about crowds, but I don't think last week and the fact that we lost a few players and so on is going to do any good for our crowd this week. So yeah, hopefully they can drag a few people back off the streets of Manchester into the stadium. Just say, up on a tram from here, get to the Trafford Centre. There's a bus going from there. There's your evening sorted. Carry on your celebrations.
Yeah. Other news: Tim Laffey and Oliver Partington banned for one game. After Magic will miss Huddersfield. 2 big players for us, Parker. Big loss.
Well, I mean, you said before about Ollie doing 40-odd tackles again. Somebody's going to have to fill that gap. That's not easy. Tim Laffey, obviously, what he offers us going forward. I don't think he had a great game the other day, by the way, but he's one of them. It looks like he's probably come back a bit early from his injury. He just doesn't look the Tim Laffey of pre-injury at the moment. But hopefully, we can get him game for another week off, really, for him to try that. But I think Ollie Partington's a massive miss, especially with Stone missing as well, I think, isn't he, with a HIA? So it's going to be a real struggle. The incidents themselves, what I don't understand, and someone might have to explain this, is 2 of our players got yellow cards during the game, neither of which have picked up bans. The 2 players who have got bans stayed on. I'm right in thinking.
Yeah.
The referee and all the other officials deemed that they didn't need any other action. Then after the game, somebody's reviewed it and said, yes, they do. Well, who's reffing the game these days? What are the rules? The only Partington one, where is it late? I mean, he wasn't brilliant, but he wasn't as bad as all that. And this Tim Laffey one, I'm still not sure what's gone on. I've read the report, but I still don't understand what his problem is. So we're getting bans again. It's strange how it's happening at this time of the year. It happened like this last year. I'm not saying anything. Did Leeds get any bans this week? No, of course not. Anyway, so it's a big blow for us. Both of them, both big key players for us. And I don't know, the disciplinary procedure is a complete, I don't know, anomaly to me. I don't get it. 1 week you get yellow card and you get a ban. This week you get a yellow card, but you don't get a ban. But you don't get a yellow card and you do get a ban. Somebody just explain it to me.
Yeah, I think you might need to substitute that eye patch for a tinfoil hat. the way you keep going on last couple of weeks about the RFL being in for us.
This isn't the last few weeks. This is 40 years. This is 40 years of this. And I'm not the only one. There are people much higher up in the organisation who believe the same, but we'll leave that there.
Yeah. Paul, obviously 2 big misses. Like Parky said, just need everyone to step up, give us that extra 10%. Like, it might sort of not, the loss of them might not be as much then, hopefully.
Yeah, it's who comes in. The one thing I don't understand is the sin binnings, right? The Singleton one and the Ethan Ryan one. To the letter of the law now and all what's going on in the game, which is ridiculous anyway. They were sin binnings, but they're not sin binnings when we started watching the game because everybody be getting sin bin. What I don't get is the referee said they were both contact with the head. So why hasn't those 2 players gone off for head test then? Why have they not gone off for head? If you get contact with the head, why are you not going off for a head assessment? And yet Sam Stone has failed the head assessment, so someone must have contacted him with the head, contacted his head, but they've not got a sin bin. So what's going on? So I'm a bit. I don't know. I mean, I saw though. It was Monday tea time, I think, when I saw the news that with Partington and Laffey was suspended, and I couldn't believe it. I really had a bad enough day as it is, sulking about the game, and then I heard that news. But I've seen the Laffey one. I think he's like third man, isn't he? And he goes and it's the guy's leg, which is unfortunate, really. And you'll get banned for things like that now. But going back to the game, the Singleton one I thought was really, really harsh because the lead, it was O'Brien who stepped in. And how do you expect a prop forward to? He's off balance, isn't he? So I thought that was a bit naff. I'm just glad he's not got banned. If he'd got banned, that'd just been ridiculous.
Yeah, jumping on the Paul Parkins conspiracy train for one stop, Paul. Me and you noticed the referee looking at the screen before he made decisions regarding sin bin.
He watched them both. He watched them both. He stood there and watched them because he didn't know what had gone on. So he stood there and watched them. And then felt it and took a bit of advice from whoever the video referee was because he didn't think they were bad challenges. And they weren't. Ethan Ryan wasn't. But there's one on Saturday. Cade Ellis got sin for Wigan. And it was the biggest joke ever. The St. Helens guy ran into him and his shoulder's there. You can't move my shoulder's here now, Rob. You can't move my shoulder. It's there. So if someone runs into me and hits my shoulder, is it my fault? So you could get to a stage where you could find fault with every single tackle in a match. And how many tackles are there in a game? About 600 or whatever. You could find fault with every single one of them. And we're going down a road now where, maybe next season, we could be sin-binning 4, 5, 6 players in a game. So I don't really want to go into it because I might upset somebody if I say something about what I think about it now, especially with all these people who are trying to sort of sue the sport and all that. I think we're going down a road now where we need to be careful whether we want a contact sport or we don't. But I'll save that for another podcast because I'll end up upsetting you. So, but we'll leave it there.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. We'll talk Ghana, Parker. Club announced that in Ghana in the last month they've been having a whale of a time promoting the game. They were on national telly in the week, talking to, I think it was the sports minister, rugby league president, Madame Sori from Ghana, talking about how they want rugby league to help their national fitness and enthusiasm. Very exciting times.
Yeah, they got a lot of sponsors involved, haven't they? Brought a lot down to present, what the sport's about, and hopefully they can put a bit of money into it and help build the sport there. And like they said, these guys they've got the athleticism and the build and everything else to play rugby league. It's a great sport for them. And she spoke really well. I listened to the interview. She was, brilliant in what she said. I wish we had politicians over here who could do the job like that. She was fantastic in promoting the game, and obviously, we've got our people there who are doing the bit. And you see, even when it was on, they were wearing, they had the Red Devils on and all that. It looked brilliant, and we get a mention quite a lot. It'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? A nation that could develop its own sort of league and with its own financing and not have to sort of rely so much on the international rugby league body, because they're also probably not as good as they should be at promoting our sport in doing what they should. And Ghana's could be a great example. Could be that one thing where we go, yeah, we've got it right now, and we've been the heart of that. And I'd love to see what you said, going back to the Copperheads, love to see a couple of their lads get a chance over it, and their ladies, because I know Ghana ladies, it's massive now over there. It's really big. So, try and get some of them over here, and let's see what we can do.
There is talk of the Copperheads ladies team playing in the Las Vegas Nines, which is pretty, looking for players as well. So if anyone wants to go to Florida and play in the Las Vegas Nines, that'd be, a pretty good thing to do. Obviously contact the club and organise that. Paul went to the British Embassy as well and met Keith McMahon, and also went to a primary school to sort of promote the game as well. Fantastic stuff. Obviously, like you say, like Parky says, they're reaching out into the community. They've got a team now. It's not just one guy. There's about 8 of them doing Salford work.
It's brilliant, Rob. It's brilliant. And I can't wait for us to get a Ghana sort of supporters association. Get the people of Ghana watching Salford, watching our team and as well. And perhaps we'll have to have an exchange trip over there and go over to America as well. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? But I think it's brilliant the way a club like ours, that's a community-run club, we're not one of the big hitters with 16,000 people watching us every week and endless amounts of money. But it just shows what you can do when you put your mind to it and you've got the right people in the club. Because sort of 10 years ago, I don't think we'd have done this, would we? But now we're moving in the right direction and we're doing good things, great things in the community. And I think these are great stories, and it's good to see us being involved and people talking about us in a good light.
Yeah, Jet Set Reds, Parky, Ghana, Florida, Red Star Belgrade, Australia. We could go everywhere.
Yeah, we'd need the Kofi Reds to really cough up, wouldn't we? I mean, that's my passport's just here. He's here. He's waiting. My passport. I'm ready. My Casey's there, and I'm ready to go. No, look. What I will say is, I think rugby league's neglected Africa for far too long. We've seen, the athletes that come out of Africa, and they're great at all sports. Let's not, let's be honest. So why have rugby league been so slow? And Salford have got in there early, and we're putting the foundations in now, and hopefully the whole sport will benefit from what we've done. And again, IMG, if you're watching, what a Salford offer rugby league. Well, let's just have a look.
Yeah, Parky asking for more stuff. Obviously, flash sale this week by VX3. Paul, 30% off everything online. I think that's good.
Yeah, it sounds good. It's funny actually. I like a funny story. Who I work for, Baxi, we just going to the company's just going to partnership with Oxford United. They wanted to sponsor Preston for the new season, but they couldn't get Preston, so we've got Oxford United. So we've been getting emails and communication work saying you can have half price and discounted shirts for Oxford United and what have you. But no, I think I'd rather have a Salford Red Devils shirt. So that's that story part up. But no, I must admit, some of the stuff I've seen. I think you had a shirt on the other week, Parker, the polo, that white one with the black and red on. I didn't comment when you were on the show the other week. I thought it looked really smart. I've seen a few people with them on at the weekend. And no, my friend Paul Brooks is on holiday at the moment. He sent me a picture on Sunday, watching the match, and he was round the pool. And he said, I've got all my new gear on. And so there's a picture with his vest on, his beanie hat, and God knows what else. So I think some of the stuff's great. And I've been to that shop in the Lowry as well, which is really, really good. So, I think VX3 are really good for the kids.
Paul wants some gear as well.
please. Won't mind the new beanie.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's great. Obviously, it'd be interesting, actually. You're talking about that and getting tapped up for tickets from, is it Oxford United, you said?
Yeah, we got told there'll be like more partnerships coming, so I don't know whether it'll be tickets and things like that. It's quite a long way to go, isn't it? But
what I'm saying is you could keep an eye on what they send you and say, I wonder if we're doing that. And then you could feed back to the club and say, look, I'm getting started by Oxford United here, trying to give me tickets and stuff. This is what they offer me. Are we offering potential new fans the same? And you can use that. Just monitor it, just see what you're getting, and then pass the information on, because they don't know. The club might not know what other clubs offer potential supporters.
Well, do we do that? Who's our main shirt sponsors? Is it still Selco? Forget. I mean, you watch them every week, don't you? Someone asked me. Our Imogen asked me the other week who sponsors, and I thought, God, I watch the match every week. I can't remember who's on the front of the shirt because it's just something you don't look at. But I wonder if we do that with Selco. I wonder if, because they must be a pretty big company.
Yeah,
do we do we offer their employees discounts and things like that? I mean, it must be. It's a road to go down, isn't it? You know, if you can get more people interested and involved.
Selco marketing team being sick into a plastic bucket now, Parker. Front of shirt sponsor. We're going. Not sure.
Thought it was still Trenchman. No, look, yeah, no. I mean, Selco, I think have been brilliant. By the way, I do think he must have been fairly decent sponsorship. I'm not sure how long that's left either. I don't know what the deal is with that, but yeah, it's an interesting point, isn't it? About that, I don't know quite what our connections are. I'm sure we do. I'm sure we, that it works both ways. That because I know they've had a few things at Selco, haven't they? Down on Regent Road, they've done promotions there for the match. If you go down, you can meet a player and whatever. So I'm sure they do, but yeah, it's interesting to see what other clubs do and try and feed back to the club and give them all the help we can.
Yeah. So that's all the news. And now, Parky and Paul, we're gonna announce our nominations for the 2024 Players of the Year, podcast Players of the Year, both ladies and men. Paul, obviously, lots of contenders, lots of good players this season. It was a tough selection process.
Yeah, we had a little chat on Sunday, didn't we, about it? And
we did.
I think we come up with, we sort of started the same names, really, didn't we? That was doing their own. I think Parky as well. I think we've all got the same sort of people, but it's difficult. And I know we were talking to David Clegg about the ladies, and he chipped in, and then he said, "Oh, I better ask somebody else." And there was a lot of names getting mentioned, and then he looked at the list we had and said, "Oh, somebody else should be on it." So everyone has their own opinions, don't they, about that? And that's what makes it good. But I think it was Ryan Briley who swooped all the awards last year, wasn't it? So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see who gets them again this time. It's always an exciting time of year.
Yeah, I think obviously lots of different opinions, Parker, and that's what it's all about. Obviously, both men and women. Everyone has an opinion on who they think's been the top player of the season, and it's good that we have kind of a short list of 5.
Yeah, well, look, people see different things in players. Some see the exciting athlete who can run 100 meters in 10 seconds. Some see the guy who does the grunt up front. Someone else will see something, and that's the thing about rugby league as well. That I suppose in many ways, unlike football, in this, that each position is very different. They're a different build, they're a different size, you have a different attribute, and it depends what your bent is, I suppose, as to what you prefer. So yeah, you do have to have a short list because and it doesn't have to be that short, really, because you could easily just say 3 and you'd miss out somebody and somebody would disagree. I think we've got it just about right.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with our ladies, Parker. Obviously, we've got the shortlist of 5.
Yeah.
A few people did miss out, who I think deserve mentions. Jen Myler started the season very well, scoring tries, making big moments, got injured. Haven't seen her since. So I think if she'd have carried on, she would have probably made the 5. Taz Corcoran, opposite way round, started injured, got fit, playing out of her skin at the moment. And also Tina Milan. Since she's come in from Warrington, she played 2 games. She was sensational. Then I saw her on her Instagram that she'd hurt her hand and she was out for the season. I was like, oh no. And then 3 weeks later, came back and been playing ever since. So them 3 obviously would have been in, but circumstances, unfortunately, not.
Yeah, and you can only pick so many when I've said that, but yeah, there'll be others. There'll be others that Mike Grady would have said, "Well, do you not think about them because they, without them, I've not got my team." Or there's always that unknown, or the one that's in the background that does a lot of work that people don't notice. So, yeah, I mean, they're unlucky. We have had a lot of injuries in the ladies' team, certainly early on in the year. I mean, it was a bit of a nightmare at times. So, yeah, unlucky to miss out. But I think the 5 that have been selected, I think you would, if you've watched them regularly, you'd roundly agree that they'd be the top 5.
Yeah. So in no particular order, Parker, the first nominee is Alex Simpson, top try scorer, inspiration, leader, always consistent, played at fullback, played at centre, big game player, big moment, possible player of the year.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think she, I know she's just, you've said her first and it is in no order, but I think she'd be the first one you would think of when you think of our women's team. But there are a couple, but I think she's consistent and that's all you can ask of any player, and she has been for a while now. And like you say, she's scoring tries, which is always eye catching. But I think she does a lot more than that. And so yeah, rightly so, rightly in there.
Yeah, second nomination, Sophie Morris, hooker / loose forward, tireless worker, tackles to a standstill every week, good hands as well. 8 out of 10 player. That's what good teams need. Possible player of the year.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was saying about when you're looking at players. She's one of them sort of ghost players, if you like. You only notice when she's not there in that way, that she does a lot of work that other people won't or can't do. So I think there are a couple of players like that in the men's team that you take them out of the team. We're not the same team. She's definitely that. She's very much a sort of linchpin in that pack.
Yeah. Third nominee is Emily Bagley, destructive runner, X factor, try scorer of big tries, takes big carries in tough situations as well. Another possible player of the year. Yeah,
she's had a great year, really has. And another one that I think's developed. I think she looked really raw at first and a bit, I don't know, was it for her? And then all of a sudden she's just sprang into life, and now, like I said, you mentioned her a couple of times in the match report from the game against Sheffield. A very key player to the team, but yeah, one that's developed with just out of sight, really.
Yeah, another nominee is Jadine McVernon, workaholic, edge forward, tackles to a standstill, always an 8 out of 10 player, like we said before. The edging room, continues week in, week out, puts in big performances. Another potential player of the year.
Yeah, and again, I think she's fairly new to the game, isn't she? I don't think she's been around that long. So again, it's that development, isn't it? And how they've come on through the year and what she's learned. Now they've taken it into sort of out of practice and into games. Again, another one of them players that it's just there, just works hard, does the job, and gets those, like Alex Simpson, who gets on the end of the tries and the showpiece parts. It's those people that have done the work to get us in them positions. So yeah, she could easily actually get it. I mean, it depends what other people see, but yeah, she's been excellent.
Yeah, the final nominee for our ladies player of the year is Michelle Davis. Unbelievable talent, scores great tries, lifts everybody when she plays. An X factor player which everyone needs. Michelle Davis, potential player of the year.
Yeah, well, I mentioned her before. She's just, you just look at her and when you see her with the ball in hand, now she knows the game. She's brilliant. She really is. And then you told me about the Warrington and the England thing. I wasn't aware of that. You could just see from watching her that she's just got that, like you say, that X factor. She's just a really, really good player. But again, would she be as good without the players around her? That are doing the hard work. So, but yeah, I think since she's come in, she's been absolutely sensational, a real talent, and hopefully will be still with us next year. So yeah, it's tough. It's a really tough one. I'm gonna have a think about it. I'm not really sure where I'm gonna go with this. I think last year I was more or less nailed on where I went straight away, but it's a little bit tougher this year.
It's a tough group there. Paul, Alex Simpson, Sophie Morris, Emily Bagley, Jadine McVern, and Michelle Davis. 5 potential ladies player of the year.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty of debate from people when they're getting the votes in for that, because I think all the nominations there are worthy of it, aren't they? So when it'll be the same with the men's, you'll have your own sort of favourites, won't you? And I think sometimes you take shine to certain players, don't you? I've done that over the years, and you just get a soft spot for them, don't you? And you keep your eye on them more than others, but it'll be exciting to see who gets it.
Yeah, so let's move on to the men. Parquet, we'll start with Mark Sneed. Why should Mark Sneed win the podcast player of the year?
Because he's played the best rugby league of his career. He has been outstanding all year. He's been every week. Everybody knows, we said it earlier on, you target Mark Sneed, you take Sneed out of the game, Salford aren't the same team. Mark Sneed hasn't missed a game. No matter how hard that he's been hit, no matter how much he's been targeted, he's the brains behind everything we do, without a doubt. He's a general, and he plays the game with a smile on his face. He's certainly a little bit cheeky, like most halfbacks are. He's had some absolutely sensational games this year, and obviously still up there in the Man of Steel running. Even though our form as a team has dropped, he's still up there, and that says it all. These are fellow professionals that are looking at this, or ex-players, who are picking these for these awards. So I don't need to say anything about Mark Sneyd. He's been brilliant all year, and not had a constant halfback partner either. So he's had to do most of it on his own. His kicking game's got us out of God knows how much strife this year as well. So yeah, I mean, a very easy selection, I think.
Yeah, Paul, your thoughts on Mark Sneyd and being potentially the Devil in the Detail podcast player of the year?
Yeah, if he wins, you have to chase him for an interview. Or put him down at the end of the game. No, well, it's like a lot of Park. So I mean, when we first signed him a couple of years ago, when he was coming back from Hull, wasn't too sure what I thought of it, to be honest with you, because I thought, why are all offloading him? Because that Luke Gale went there, didn't they? I thought, why are they offloading him? And is he injured? Or are they dumping him on us? I just think it was a bit of crap business from Hull, really, because unless Mark wanted to leave, because he wasn't injured and he wasn't a bad player. So I thought it was a great signing for us, and it proved that. But it's one of them where you first did a bit wary, aren't you? But no, I thought he did a great job for us. And yeah, he's very, very consistent. He's probably one of the most influential players in the league. As per se per team, like, and look at that Albert Goldthorpe table they have in the League Express. I think he's well in front of that. That goes off your man of the match things and your points you get for man of the match every week. And if Salford win or Salford play well, he's always in that top three. So yeah, he makes the team tick, don't he? He's the engine room of the team.
Yeah. So the second nominee for the podcast player of the year is Nenny McDonald. Paul, why should Nenny McDonald win the Devil in the Detail podcast player of the year?
Well, he's come to Salford and he just let his guard down, Nenny, and he's took to the fans, haven't they? They took to him and he's took to them. And I mean, he had a bit of a bad time at Leeds, didn't he? And I remember that first game we played Leeds away. You could see how frustrated he was. He was really, really frustrated. The Leeds supporters got on his back a bit and things weren't quite going right for him. And that, to be honest with you, I thought he was a bit too good for us. I thought we were a bit too behind his thinking, really. And slowly but surely, he settled into the team and he's become one of us, hasn't he? You look at him, I'm not just talking about him with supporters. I mean, that picture of him the other week where he's in the crowd in the South Stand, I mean, that's what rugby league's all about. That's what watching Salford's all about. Those sort of players, like Tex Evans was like that, real crowd favourite who get on with supporters like that. And I think we've got loads of players like that. And that was brilliant. But that said, he gets paid to play rugby league and he's a wonderful player. He's an X-factor player. He's got the pace. He's got, great pace off the mark. One thing I've noticed about him recently is how good he is in the air. I think I said it the other week on the match, but he's like Biggles. He's up there in the air, and the way he can palm a ball back like that for you, you've got to go with him because he can create so much from that. So he's terrific. He's a terrific athlete and an X-factor player.
Yeah. Parky, thoughts on Nenny McDonald potentially being the podcast player of the year for 2024?
Well, he's just a joy to watch. He's what people turn up and watch rugby for. The amount of times you'll say during the year, just give it Nenny. He'll get us out of there. I mean, his power alone is tremendous. The size of the man, but he plays it with a smile on his face, and that's what I love. I love players who do that. He just seems to be grinning all the time. He seems to be happy that he's there and he's doing it, and it's good to see because after, Paul mentioned there, he had a nightmare at Leeds. He obviously didn't like the club. He didn't like the environment. He went home and he could have put his cue on the rack and said, I don't want to play anymore. I've had enough of rugby league. And he answered our call. He's come here. He's been outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. Every time he gets the ball, you see the opposition players straight away panic. We've got to stop this man because if he gets a head up, we're knackered. Paul mentioned as well that his pace, he's a quick lad for a big guy. He's got us out, again, another one that's got us out a load of strife this season. Paul again mentioned about being in the air. I mean, he hangs so looks like a basketball player. He's absolutely brilliant, and that's a move that I think we've come over reliant a little bit. But that's beside the point. He's brilliant up there, and I think he's just a real threat and a great player to watch. And the joy and the statement he came out with the other week on the BBC about loving Salford, loving the city of Salford, and obviously him and Cal doing a podcast. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but he's brilliant. He's settled and he's part of us, and he's hopefully he's going to stay here for a long time now. And listen, fans will love him, especially I think the younger fans. you fall in love with him. It's a bit like a Fatasini kind of thing that, we had years ago. And Paul mentioned Tex Evans. He's a player that makes you smile and he makes you want to go and watch rugby league.
Yeah. So the third nominee for the podcast player of the year for 2024 Parky is Callum Watkins. Why should Callum Watkins win Devil in the Detail podcast player of the year for 2024?
Because he's my favourite player. Don't need an excuse now. No, listen, Callum Watkins is the most professional rugby league player you will probably ever get the chance to watch. He is. I can't speak. I honestly can't speak highly enough. The other day I was thinking about, again, every now and then I go through this, who's the best players that I've seen play for us and who would be there. I think Callum Watkins has finally pushed his way in. I think he's going to be in my all-time 13 as it is at the moment. He's got everything. His skill. The amount of time we've seen it this year where he set up a couple of tries just by being quicker than everybody else, thinking quicker. One at Warrington. He had a hand in the one against Saints, which won into the game when he got the ball out to Nene, keeping the ball alive. As a back row who can still play as a centre. He's got pace. He's got power. He's a model professional. Paul Rowleys spoke about him the other week. I think Sneedy spoke about it. I think Ryan Braley's spoken about him. But being in the changing room with him must be just inspirational. Just having him there. He is, for me, he's one of the finest players of the Super League era. When he was at Leeds, he was brilliant. Didn't work for him in Australia, but how many backs go over there and do make it work? I don't know, not many. He came to us, he got an injury that could have been career-ending. And he's built and built and built. And this season, you mentioned about these, 8 out of 10 players. Callum's a 9.5 every week, and every now and then he's a 10. And that's all. He is my favourite player because I love what he does and how he does it, but he goes unnoticed a lot of the time. You don't see the work that he does. I watch him because I'm fixated by him. And I just think if we could have 13 of him, we'd be at Old Trafford already.
Paul, thoughts on Callum Watkins potentially being the podcast player of the year for 2024?
Funny, I was talking to somebody on Facebook about this today on what favourite players and stuff like that. And asking me who mine were over the years. Ian Watson got mentioned on one of my things, and he went, "Oh, is he one of your favourite players?" And blah blah, and Steve Blakely and that. And I was thinking to myself when I was working, I thought sometimes your favourite player might not necessarily be the best player, because it's like you'll have a favourite. I said it before, you'll warm to certain players, and certain players, the character and that, the way they play and the way they're always smiling all the time. That sort of character and that, you'll warm to them and you'll sort of click with them and what have you. But I think Callum Watkins, he's the whole package. He's a likeable character. He's a fantastic player, but he's your favourite as well because he's such a lovely bloke. So, like when we've spoken to him, he's got that smile, hasn't he? He just oozes class. It's like having, I don't know, he's like a Premier League football, like a Shearer or somebody like that, somebody that everybody knows. He's like having one of them in your team. And yeah, I think everybody in rugby league knows who Callum Watkins is. And he just seems to, when I've seen him, we've been stood waiting in the corridor and that, he sort of commands the sort of area, doesn't he, that he's in. So I think he's a tremendous athlete. I think he's a great ambassador for rugby league, great ambassador for Salford Rugby League Club, and I wouldn't have any argument if he won it because I think he's been tremendous at Salford. And like Parky says, he's probably pushing his way into one of my top sides now for Salford because he's a brilliant player.
Yeah. So the fourth nominee for the podcast player of the year, Paul, is Joe Mellor. Why should Joe Mellor win the podcast player of the year for 2024?
Because he's one of my favourite players. This is the one I'm going to say now. I was saying before about people that you just take an instant like to, and I've done that with Joe. Niall Evans was like when he came into the team. I liked him because of how he was, and obviously I was lucky enough to get a chance to speak to him with you on the podcast and that. But there's certain players that you like, and I spoke to Joe a few times. I like his character. He's a really down to earth bloke. He doesn't take himself too seriously. He's really settled into Salford. He's give his all every week, and he can play. He can play as well, but just like his character, I think he's a top lad. He's become one of him and Logan Lewis have become two of my favourites this season. I really enjoyed the way they play the game. So, and I'm not saying he's knocking on a bit, but he is knocking on a bit. He's 33 now, isn't he? But he's still. You can tell he lives a life off the field. He's one of them who probably doesn't drink a lot. He's always keeping himself fit. He probably does his own gym work as well. So, the commitment of him and his longevity I think he's been great for us this season, and he's another one where you look at him and I'm not. This is no disrespect to him, but I think there's supporters, and I've read stuff on social media when we signed him, people sort of raised an eyebrow. What are we signing him for? Why have we signed him? And he's wherever he's played, he's been a really good player, and I think you've got to respect players like that.
Parky, why should Joe Mellor win the Podcast Player of the Year for 2024?
Well, this is probably more for the listeners because he proved me wrong. He's made me look like a mug. I think that's the reason. When we signed him, I was one of them. What are we signing another halfback for? A 30-odd-year-old halfback? Why would we do that? We had Sneed, we had Cust, Atkin, Morgan. Why did we sign him? That's because Paul Rowleys got brains and he knows a quality player when he sees one. He's been magnificent, Joe Mellor, in everything he's done. For such a small guy as well to be playing in that role at hooker, because he's not even built like a hooker really in that way. He is built like a halfback because that's what he's always been. When he comes onto the pitch, he speeds everything up. He makes us go forward. The breaks he's made this year, I don't know how many, but from that dummy runs, he's got us on the front foot numerous times. He tackles twice his weight. He's always there. How many times has he been injured? Even though he's playing in that, I mean, that's the hooking role is, I'll say it, the toughest role on the pitch, without a doubt. I think it's so physical. You're in everything. You're tackling everything. You're in every play. You've got to be at every play the ball. You know, you're all over. His fitness levels must be through the roof. And like Paul said, he clearly lives the right kind of life away from the game. Doesn't like golf, I don't think, does he? But he's been absolutely superb. And I say, I'll hold my hands up. I was one of them at the start of the year that said, why? I remember reading it, Lee fans saying, and Widnes fans saying you've signed a good one. And I was a bit like, well, we'll see. Well, they proved me wrong. He's been absolutely magnificent. And at 33, he looks like the kind of guy that's got another 10 years in him.
Yeah. So the final nominee for our Podcast Player of the Year, Parky, is Ollie Partington. Why should Ollie Partington win Podcast Player of the Year for 2024?
Well, why shouldn't I? Well, listen, Ollie, he is the engine room. He is the absolute. He does not stop. He is tireless. He's in every. I mean, again this week, top tackler again. How many times this season has he been top tackler for us? He does 40-odd, 50 tackles every single week. He's involved in everything, and more recently, he's got more involved with the ball in that role. I think he's a tremendous player, and I think there's more to come from Ollie Partington. Sadly, it won't be with us, but I think he's a brilliant player. Really, when we signed him from Wigan, I thought, what are Wigan doing? Why are they letting these players go? But obviously you can only have so many. You've got a salary cap, and we benefited from him. I think he's a good character as well. From what I've seen and what I've heard, I think he's really good around the camp. But I can only go off what I see on the pitch, and Ollie P is an absolute workhorse. And he's one of them, again, without him in the team, God knows where we'd be. He's been brilliant. And he could win it, because I think he's a bit of a surprise in that way, that he's there every week. I mean, you see him at the moment, he's still going around with that bandage around his head that he picked up a couple of weeks ago. But he doesn't go off. He's not injured. He takes knocks. He gets up. He's hard as nails. Really skillful player. And I think in another 2 years, I think you'll see the very, very best of Ollie P. But I think he's been brilliant for us this year.
Paul, why should Ollie Partington win the Podcast Player of the Year for 2024?
He's one of them players that does the work of like three players, doesn't he? And sometimes I look at players, I used to do it at Malcolm. I think, God, he'd make a bloody good boxer in. Show his fitness and his stamina and just the way he's the warrior he is, like, just takes knocks, and you could see he'd just get up and get on with it. Oliver Partington would be like that. He'd make a cracking boxer because of his engine, and he's fearless. I noticed him at St. Helens the other week, and he doesn't take a backward step. And I love players like that who are proud to wear the shirt, and he's not bothered if you're St. Helens, you Wigan or whatever. If you're having a pop at him and he's in a Salford shirt, he'll have a pop back at you. And I love that. I love that tenacity in players, and he's got that. And like Parky said, sadly, he's probably going to come into his prime now at Catalans, and we probably won't see it. But I think he could play international rugby league, and I definitely do. I think he's got that, and he's improving. I think his attack's getting better. We know how much a good defender he is, but I think he's getting better on attack. His ball movement's been good. I think over the last few weeks, you can probably you remember the tries. I think he set up a couple for Callum, the lovely little offloads, and he's getting that sort of vision in his game now where he can spot a pass, a short pass on that, and just gutted he's going really, Rob, because he's progressed really well with us. I think he's a top player.
Yeah, so there's your nominees for the podcast Player of the Year for 2024. Mark Sneed, Nenny McDonald, Callum Watkins, Oliver Partington and Joe Mellor. We'll get a poll out shortly. Vote for your winner and we'll announce it towards the back end of the season. So that's all we have there. And now we move on to this week's games. So we'll start with the reserves, Parker, at home to Huddersfield. 2:30 kickoff on Saturday before the main event. Last week beat Bradford in good form. Huddersfield are in 7th place. They're in a bit of a pattern of win one, lose one at the moment. So hopefully we can pick another win there and keep moving up the table.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised really. Huddersfield, they've got a squad of about 7,000 in the first team, so a lot of them would play in there, and obviously Ian Watson's famous world-class academy could have been providing players, so I thought it might have been slightly better than that. It's going to be tough because I think our reserves will be called upon this week for the first team. I think we're short of bodies, so it's hard to see what kind of team he's going to be able to pick. Stuart Wilkinson, but I think with us being at home and we have been playing well, there's a bit of a team spirit there, and like we say every week, there's a few real good players in that reserve team, but it's going to be tough because, like I say, Huddersfield team have loads of players, so they'll be bit of rest a few or whatever. But our reserves are going to be called upon this week, so I'll have to see what our squad's going to be before I make any bold prediction. But it's going to be tough for them. But again, just about learning for a lot of these lads this year, because I think a number of them might be incorporated into the first team squad for next year.
Yeah, wheelchair team are in action on Sunday, Paul. Halifax away at Seaborough Leisure Centre, Lowmore, Bradford. Obviously, picking up some good form, some good wins will be a test for them because Halifax are a good side.
Yeah, don't know a lot about Halifax. I know we did well against Rochdale, didn't we, the other week? So that's definitely something to take forward. But I think we've said it before. We're new to it. Every game's an experience, and they just want to go out and enjoy themselves, don't they? If you win, it's a bonus, isn't it? So that'll be another test for them to see how far we've come.
Yeah, and Paul Rowleys' men are in action at home to Huddersfield on Saturday. Parker must win after last week's defeat at Magic and the chasing pack catching us.
Yeah, it is a must win. Just say about the wheelchair team. I just realised, didn't Halifax win the league last year? The actual Super League.
Did they?
I think they beat Leeds, didn't they?
Oh,
yeah, I think they did.
Yeah, they got so they're unbelievable. Anyway, so hopefully hopefully they're resting half the team or something. But best of luck to our guys. Look, this is we've only got 2 home games left this season. We've got to win them both, and hopefully maybe pick up one away. But it's going to be very, very tough now. We've made it hard for ourselves with a bit of bad recent form, a couple of slip ups. Last week obviously doesn't help. So, and then, like you say, we lose Ollie Partington. We lost Tim Laffey. Stone's out. I don't know if there's any more injuries because we look like the walking wounded. Ryan Briley, like Paul said earlier, we're going to be dragging players in from all over the place. It's going to be really tough. But there's a spirit. We know that. That's one thing that Paul Rowley loves. This back to the wall kind of thing. It's us against the world at the moment. We're getting decisions going against us that maybe, you can say what you like, whether it's conspiracy or not, but maybe other teams don't face. Huddersfield have picked up a little bit. They're a better team than they were a few weeks ago, and obviously they beat us at their place in an absolutely awful game of rugby league by both teams. So hopefully the spectacle's a little bit better. But this is must win, because if we lose this week, we go away to Hull KR after that, and we know what it's like going there. And then we've got Hull FC. I think we've got Catalan and Wigan coming up. It's going to be tight, so we need to win. There's no, this is kind of last chance saloon in many ways for us. So, it's going to be very, very tough. Huddersfield will look at us this week and think we're wounded, and they could come after us. So we're going to have to be right on our mettle, I think.
Danger men for them, Paul.
Well, they've got loads. You've got 2 in Holiday is dangerous. I thought he was really dangerous when we played at their place. He was probably the best player that night. You know, his kicking game was really dangerous, and he can do them off the cuff things, can't he? Jake Connor's the same. I know that fella on Sky always seems to be slagging him off, that John Wilkins, doesn't he? But I think he's one of them players. If you can get a coach that he can play for. I mean, I've got to credit Luke Robinson. I think since he's gone there and took over from Watson, I'm not slagging Watson off at all. Whatever happened there happened. But since Luke Robinson's gone in, he seems to have got the players playing with a smile on the face again. And when the sides like they're dangerous, so they're going to come and throw the ball about. They've got nothing to lose. They can't make the playoffs. They can't get relegated. So you could see that against Casford. They just played, guys like Kevin Nagwama. They're good players. They've got some really good players in that team. They've got some good forwards as well. So they'll be decent. They'll be a decent side. And it's going to be a tough game for us. Like Pike said, our running, we've got 5 games left now. And the way I look at it is the 5 cup finals. You've got to play them like 5 cup finals. Don't write the OKR game off. Don't write the Wigan game off. So we can't win them, because if you do that, then you are putting pressure on yourself. But this feels like a big game. This to me, because if you lose this one, I think Lee are playing London Broncos on Sunday, and with all respect to London, I think Lee will win that game, and that puts them a point behind us. Then, if we get beat. Leeds have got Catalan Friday night. I can see Leeds turning them over. So the way they're playing. So we've really got to be careful now. We need, plus the fact we've won all our home games apart from Wigan. We've been brilliant at home this season. So I wanted us to win them last 2 games and really finish strong. And I think we will do. I think what we need to do Saturday night, we need to come out all guns blazing from the word go. Play this like his last chance saloon. If you play like that, we could blow Huddersfield away. I think that's what we need to do. We need to up the intensity levels. Don't let them come on to us. We've got to win. Like Lee did on Sunday. They had to win, really, didn't they? They got beat. It had been the end of it for them. So we need to have that mentality. Huddersfield don't need to win. We do. Yeah.
Prediction time. I'll go first. Salford will beat Huddersfield 20 points to 18. Parker.
I've done my predictions and I can't remember what I went with. Is what I say. I think, did Masters come back last week for him?
Yeah, he
he's
did.
a Masters.
Yeah, good.
So he's our property next year. So we need to keep him quiet, but don't get him injured. That'll be tough. He's a quality player. So but a little bit more for him there to look at. I'm gonna say we're gonna edge it, just because we have to. I think that's the main thing. It is do or die. So I'm gonna go Salford 18, Huddersfield 12.
18-12. Paul?
I'm going to push the ball out for once. I never normally do this, but I'm going to say we'll score our biggest total this season. I think we'll score some points. I know we've got injuries and that, but I just think we'll have enough to score some points. I'm going to go 36 to Salford, 16 to Huddersfield.
36-16. So 20-18, me, 18-12, Parker. 36-16 on Whiteside. Hopefully, the Nando's just round the corner. So that's the end of this week's podcast. Another great show. Paul, obviously, Magic wasn't great, but this show was with our Player of the Year nominations, and looking forward to this week's game.
Magic wasn't great. It was bloody awful, wasn't it? I said to you near the end, I just want to go home now. I had enough. So yeah, I was glad to get home. But no, I've enjoyed the podcast. I need to get myself a comfier seat. I'm sat on the floor here. Backside's killing me.
The maddest thing is, Paul, when you're looking and the camera, you must come out of focus and the camera just fades up and starts looking at your ceiling at one point.
Oh, right. Sorry. I'm going to move. I'm going to make a move next week and find some. I might go downstairs and find a seat downstairs.
But yeah, another great show, Parker. Like I say, big thanks for all our Kofi Reds who, donate, allow us to purchase the programs and the equipment to give you the best podcast experience that they can have.
Yeah, and I just want to say hello to the gentleman who came over to me in Ellen Road on Sunday and introduced himself. We had a chat about Hughie Duffy and a few other sort of ex-Reds and all that. I didn't get the gentleman's name, but again, it was great to hear people, coming over and saying how much they enjoy listening and all that. That's enough for me. Never mind the people who contribute financially as well. That's something else. But just having people come over saying, I really enjoy listening. That's enough. That we'd sit here and talk rugby anyway, but to know that people, do enjoy it, that's always nice. So it was good to chat to him and so hopefully I'll get to speak to a few more people in the next, few weeks and find out their opinions. I'm sure there'll be someone out there who'll have a different opinion. But yeah, no, brilliant. I appreciate, we appreciate everybody who listens and those who obviously contribute. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and if you want to be a Copied Red, get on our website. There's a banner on there. Click on that. And obviously, everything you do, don't give us, goes on equipment, programs to, like I say, improve your podcast experience. So big thanks for joining us on this Devil in the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Parkinson. You can find us on Facebook, Devil in the Detail SRD. You can find us on X at DITDSRD. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. Good luck, Reds. We'll see you on the other side.